A few weeks ago, I was introduced to somebody in my community, an individual trying to do just that. Watch this.
When all the talking stops, what's next? I'm saying what starts right here. What's next is having a place for us to go so we can grow.
Mr. Will Keeps's organization Starts Right Here is exactly the type of organization that we should look to.
See, I don't understand why people get so mad that I work with the governor or work with the U.S. senator who's Republican, because I am a Democrat. See, for some reason, I feel like that the United States is called the divided state of America. See, I want to get it back to that real word, united. I'm going to work with anybody who is willing to understand the end game and making sure that our community is safe, our community has purpose, our community comes together, our community understands each other. See, the thing is, when I say together, I don't just mean one race. I don't just mean one party. When I say together, I mean us all. I thought that's what we wanted. And I'm gonna fight for that. If you believe in coming together, building bridges, that's what I'm going for. And I think everybody should get on board with that. But if you don't, maybe next time, huh? Because we're going to keep moving.
Let's bring him in. The man in that video is here with us here today on BlazeTV, radio and podcast, Will Keeps. Will, it's good to have you on the show, man. How are you?
Man, it's an honor to be here, man.
So tell us, first of all, let's get to know a guy named Will Keeps. Okay. Who are you? What's your background, etc.? Tell us your story.
Okay, from the south side of Chicago. My mom and my real dad separated at a young age. My mom brought home a man who we thought was funny. Well, he was funny. You know, he wrestled with us, took us places, but I had no idea he was a predator. He called me downstairs at the age of 7 years old, took me into the bathroom, and then molested me. When I walked upstairs, I had no idea who I was anymore. I became angry, became selfish, became needy, lost empathy. Didn't even know what empathy was, but I lost it. Mm-hmm. I was this kid who liked to sing and dance, you know what I'm saying? And he just took that away from me. Even though down the years I brought it back, you know what I'm saying, a little bit here and there. But he took the joy away because I didn't know who I was anymore. And then I come to find out that my sister, who was 9 at the time, was molested as well. And I didn't understand why she changed, why she became so angry and hostile. But when we had that conversation, we told each other what happened. And this man used to have us, like, can I be real with y'all?
Yeah. Okay. Keep it PG. PG-13.
Well, it was bad. And so what it did was it had me be so afraid of what's going on in my home that I thought I needed a whole nother family. So I decided to join the gang. So when I joined the gang, that got me in a position where I was almost killed. Now I have a friend of mine that got killed right in front of me. And that put me in a whole nother state of mind. It was like my whole mind, I was losing it. You know, I felt like that my life was getting less and less important. But the crazy thing about that is that no matter anything that I've been through in my life, I kept moving forward, but I didn't even know I was moving forward. I was thinking about all the bad things that was happening to me that kept me moving backwards, kept me thinking backwards. But I was actually kept moving forward because I did graduate out of high school. I did go to college. Even though I messed up in college because became a wild kid in college. But I kept moving forward to the point where I am today as being a father, a husband, and someone who's out here trying to help others who probably been through the same thing I've been through or even worse. And I want to be here for the community, the lost community, the lost kids, the lost families. So that's just a brief piece of my story. That's only like 2% of my story.
the fundamentals of the story that you just shared, obviously, given where you live, how you're brought up, who you live with, it may manifest itself differently. But I think this is why it's so important just to, first of all, have this conversation as individuals. Because there's scores of people, this audience is all over the country. And this is one of the largest platforms in quote unquote conservative media. And there's all kinds of people right now who don't look like you and maybe don't understand. Maybe for them, when this kind of abuse happened to them, the idea of joining a gang wasn't an option where they lived, but it led them down a path of engaging in behavior or making choices that if they weren't broken or shattered by a betrayal like that, they wouldn't have made in their right mind, right?
When I joined that gang, I wanted that power,
right?
That respect,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And because I felt like, and that protection,
right?
Because I felt like I wasn't getting protected in my own home,
right?
So I felt like I needed another family, to protect me. It's
the reason why I was a girl that was abused. That may be why I became super promiscuous, and now professionally I sell that promiscuity, and because I think it gives me empowerment. But then at the same time, I struggle with it and I'm ashamed by it. That's why I wanted to start with the story of Will Keeps, because there's a lot of talk right now in our culture about, hey, you need to listen, but are we really having the conversation we really need to have reconciliation in the culture? Do you know how many, there are unfortunately scores of people in this audience who already can identify with you because they've been through a similar event. They've been scarred similarly, right? And I think that's why I think we need to start here, Will. I mean, you're a guy named Will. I'm a guy named Steve. Out in the audience are different people with different names, but nobody's coming to the table in this conversation exempt from any form of suffering, exempt from any kind of challenge or abuse or mistake that they made that they wish they hadn't. And I think that's getting lost in a lot of this conversation.
It is.
So when you start there, and you used a key word there, I think, empathy. I think that is something that is sorely lacking in our culture right now.
Oh yeah, I lost it. And you know, the crazy thing is that there was a story when I was in the hospital. When I was left for dead at 15 years old, I had to go to the hospital. My rival gang went back to that neighborhood and shot up the neighborhood. And a little girl got killed. Well, not my rival gang, the gang that I was a part of. A little girl got killed. And the crazy thing is, even though inside my heart I was mad that little girl got killed,
you felt some vindication.
I felt vindication.
Yeah, like somebody stood up for you.
I was 15 years old, and I knew that that's not who I am. But I was trying to be something that I'm not. I was becoming something that I hated. Like, how do I not feel for this? And when I am trying to feel for it, why am I fighting it? Why am I fighting it? Why am I saying I don't care? When deep down inside, all the way deep down inside, I cared. But to everybody else, I'm like, look what they did to me. It's like I was selfish, you know what I mean?
So how did you end up back here in Des Moines?
I kept getting in trouble. Once I left college, I done went to college for 2 years, and I messed up in college, so I had to come back to Chicago. And I kept getting in trouble out here, man. If I would have stayed in Chicago, I would have been dead. And I called my brother. My brother, he went to Drake University. He was out here working. He had a family out here. I called my brother and I said, bro, I need to get up out of here. He said, what's wrong? I said, bro, if I stay, I'm dead. Because I can't stop. I can't stop being a part of what's going on in these streets. And even though, I know a lot of people don't know this, I was signed with Mary J. Blige. I had a group called Laid Back that was signed with Mary J. Blige, but I was still like getting in trouble. And so my brother just said, come on. So I packed my stuff up, put it in my little red Jeep, and I came to Des Moines, Iowa. And when I came out here, I'm telling you, I was driving out here and I was like, where am I going? I saw nothing. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is happening out here? And then when I got out here and I found where my brother was at, and I packed all my stuff out and moved in with him, he got me a job at this restaurant called Garfield Restaurant when it was out here, because he was managing that at the time. And so I started washing dishes, you know. So I came out, the first thing I was doing was washing dishes. And I just looked around and was like, man, I'm in a whole nother different, you know what I'm saying, state. I'm in a whole nother different city. But it was something that I needed. But I didn't know that at the time, because everything was so slow out here. I was like, I was losing my mind. I was quick, fast pace. Came out here, everything was so slow. I didn't even know what music was out. I'm like, what are we listening to? You know what I'm saying? What? Or it was music that was 10 years old. I'm like, where's the new music at? So, but it was the best thing for me to come out here, because it slowed me down. I needed to be slowed down. You know, I met my wife. You know, I got kids, 3 kids, and I just built a family and a foundation here.
So again, this is where we're going to see some more commonalities here of the human experience. I lasted 2 years in college, and I went from I was voted most likely to succeed in high school to flunking out of college because apparently they don't give degrees for just playing Super Tecmo Bowl and never going to class.
That's all I did was play Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, and party the entire time. All right?
That's all I did.
And I'm still paying for the student loans for those mistakes 25 years later.
I'm not paying for the student loans. They garnished my checks. I'm done.
So I flunk out of school. I am way in over my head gambling with a local bookie and everything else, you know, and I can't pay a debt, and I'm pretty sure this guy's going to break my legs. And I'm living in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I grew up in Michigan. My grandmother was still back here in Des Moines. So I called her up, similar to the call you made to your brother, and said, I basically got to start my life over again. I got to get out of here. I'm making terrible choices. Now, I wasn't I don't know, maybe the bookie might have killed me. I don't know. But I didn't have a pull to get into that particular manifestation as you described, but I was making very destructive choices. And so I called my grandmother up and I said, hey, can I come back to Des Moines, stay with you, and just, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but just start all over. And she said, yes. I was working, slotting mail. I worked in the mailroom at Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I was the mailman.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I literally I tried to get a job managing Quick Trips because my cousin, who was like my sister, did that. I failed the Quick Trip managerial exam. I mean, I had to come back. I had to come here to Des Moines and start my life completely all over again. Just a vat of wasted potential, basically. And I was bound and determined to do my best to waste it. And I came here and had a family member give me a break to try to start my life all over again, and had to start from the very bottom in a mailroom to get to where I'm at right now, working on one of the largest platforms in the country.
Well, let me ask you a question. What made you, from being the valedictorian in high school, what made you switch the game up? What was going on with you?
You know what? You mentioned an issue with the father figure in your home. The stepdad that I had in my home, I realized that a lot of the things I did, I was always Mr. High Achiever, man. Sports, academics, I did it all, okay? And I realized when I got to college and got away from him that I did a lot of these things just to kind of get his approval and get him to notice me and to like me, and it never worked. And I really didn't know who I was. Like, similar story to what you said. Really didn't have my own identity, didn't know what I was into, didn't know what I really cared about, what I was passionate about. And about the only thing I was really passionate about was chicks and Super Tecmo Bowl. Oh, yeah. That was about it. Video games and chicks it was. And so in the end, you are what you do, right? You are what you do. And I had to come here, similar story to yours. I had to hit the Control-Alt-Delete button. I had to grow up. I had to become my own man, even learn what it meant to become a man. And then eventually got married, had family, and that will grow you up really quick as well. But I had to hit a reboot as well. And I think, do you see this conversation that just took place in the last 10 minutes? Now, I am here wearing the kind of plaid shirt, that even most of the most uptight lily white golfers on the PGA Tour would probably never come out wearing in public. All right? Him and I do not look like I mean, we are brothers, but can you?
You would never see me in that shirt.
No. All right. But did you see the commonality of the stories of our two lives here? How often does this conversation take place in our country and our culture? Just get rid of the politics and move it all aside for a minute. We're just people. And let's share our stories. And can you see how the difference in the areas of the country that we grew up in and what was going on in our neighborhoods made the temptations to act out different. His temptations to act out, joining a gang and stuff like that. We didn't have gangs in the suburbs where I hung out, okay? Where I lived. So the temptations are different. But the lure of why we were tempted to go to these places is very similar. Very similar. We have a lot more in common than we think when we actually just sit down and talk to each other. And so that's what you're trying to do in our community right now, Will, is you're trying to get people to sit down and talk to each other. To what end? What's the end game here?
This is the thing. There was a story where I'm sitting in my living room, and my 16-year-old, he was 16 at the time, and my nephew was 16 as well. And they came into the room and told me that they had a friend, one of their best friends got killed. His name was Terry Harris. And they were supposed to go over there within an hour. And he wound up getting killed by another friend of Terry's. Terry's friend killed him. Shot him in his own home because he was trying to steal some money. My kids came to me crying and was talking about what happened to Terry. And they was like, why don't you do something about helping the community? Do a song about what's helping the community. Because I was doing a lot of other songs and stuff like that. But they wanted me to really tackle on what's happening in the community because they was hurt. And so I looked at my kids and I saw the pain in their eyes, and I went upstairs and did a song called Wake Up Iowa. Within a day or two, I got this song done. And I asked a young man named Subject One to come help me with this song. We did a video. The song went great. It got the attention of the streets and it got the attention of the police. The police loved the song. The streets didn't like it so much. The reason why the streets didn't like it so much, because I said, when you walk outside your house, what do you see? You see houses, cars, and trees. When I walked outside of my house in Chicago, I saw nothing but gangsters, crackheads. You know what I'm saying? I was afraid to even walk the block sometimes, not knowing if I was going to make it through. And a lot of gangsters out here was upset about that message. But what I was trying to tell them is, I was like, I'm not saying there's no gangsters out here. I'm saying that when you walk outside your house, what do you see? You see houses, cars, and trees. When you walk outside your house, the fire is not right there. It's like you go look for the fire, and then you bring that fire back to your home. I'm saying we don't have to do that. We don't want to be a mini Chicago. We want to be safe. And so I decided to have my mission to say, look, I'm about to go out here and really try to save the lives of the young men and young women. No matter if you're black, white, Latino, Asian. If you're lost, I want to be a part of it. If your family's lost, I want to be a part of that. I want to be able to help that. And so what I did was I decided to build relationships through my music. So I started having police chiefs in the music videos. I started having governors in the music videos. I started having mayors in the music videos, firefighters in the music videos, senators, representatives. You know, I started having community leaders, start having kids, going into the schools, having kids in the music videos, acting, dancing, doing all that stuff so I can build. It was like I was showing them my superpowers that I always had within me, but all of a sudden now I was learning how to use them in a big way. So I wanted to build relationship after relationship after relationship after relationship, because I tell everybody, in order to be successful, in order to beat the streets, in order to beat the gangs, in order to beat the drug dealers, I have to look just as beautiful as them. So I needed all the power that be to help me make that happen. I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you none of that. If the end game is to help our community become better, to grow, to have purpose, I'm down with that. So I got a lot of hit for that. And in my own community I did. Not all of them. But some people really, you know what I'm saying, like dug at me like, you're a traitor. You're Uncle Tom. You're a hypocrite. You can't be on both sides. You got to choose one. And what I'm telling them is I chose my side. I chose the side that God told me to choose. And that is to bring us together, to be that bridge. And that's why I built these relationships. I got the most beautiful relationship with Governor Kim Reynolds. People get mad at her so bad right now, and they be calling me and saying, Will, what's up with your girl? Why she doing this, blah, blah, blah. I said, that's the governor. You think I can tell her what to do? Well, I can tell you what she is doing. She's helping me help our community. Now, you ain't going to like everything that she's doing. You ain't going to like everything that I'm doing. But if we both doing something to help the community, we don't have to agree. But at least we're doing something to help the community. So if I don't like what you're doing, how you're doing it, I'm not going to bash you on social media, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't like how you're doing it, but I know that you're doing it for a good reason. But you just went another route.
Words, there's empathy established because you have a relationship, right?
You went another route.
Yep.
So I'm saying, okay, go your route. If your route works, and that kid or that parent or that family over there getting help, or you brought people together because you went your route, then thank you. Mm-hmm. If I go my route, see, I knew that when it comes down to black organizations out here, there's only certain ones that are known out here. So I had to put myself in a position to say, look, I need to get the message that I want out. So I need to build my own organization. And that organization is called Starts Right Here. And what I mean with Starts Right Here is that we're starting over. We're going to press the rewind button and start over. We can be sitting right here going through some problems right now, but it starts right here. It could be a year later from now, and you sitting at that table and you going through something right now, but you know what? It starts right here. So I wanted people to understand once you get a part of what we're doing, the movement, and even the building that I'm building right now, when it comes down to education in this building, mental health will be in this building, a safe place, studio, game room. I got a program called The Porch. In Chicago, we used to always sit on the porch and talk about girls, and we roast each other, right? Mm-hmm. But a serious conversation always happens on the porch.
An oasis is what you're building. Yeah, it's a sanctuary.
So we actually going to build a porch inside the building so we can actually sit down, so we can have dialogue and really talk and have a free conversation, just like we're talking right now. Just have that conversation on the porch. And if we disagree on something, let's try to come with a solution. But if we still disagree, I'm not mad at you. Let's go get something to eat. Mm-hmm. Let's go get something to eat. We just disagreed. I don't want to hate you. You shouldn't hate me. So when it comes down to Starts Right Here, man, I want to build relationship. Like with Journey Ernst. You see Journey Ernst in the video. Man, I talk to this woman all the time. But I don't look at her as a Republican. I'm talking to Journey Ernst, who happens to be the U.S. Senator. Who wouldn't want to have that conversation?
Right.
But I don't get into all the politics, though, because I'm not the politics guy. When people start talking to me about politics, I'd be like, not my lane.
That's probably why you have a chance. I'm not kidding. I'm not even joking. That's probably why you have a chance to accomplish what you're trying to do, is because politics has ruined a lot of this. Mm-hmm. And it's why the first time we introduced you to our audience, and I know you have to go here in a few minutes, I wanted to spend that entire time giving them a chance just to get to know you. Mm-hmm. Because I think so little of that, which is just such a basic starting point for human relationships, so little of that goes on in our culture on a daily basis. If there's people in our audience right now that want to learn more about your organization, can you give them an idea of where to go?
They can go to startsrighthere.org. Nope, I messed up. Startsrighthere.org. Yeah. Let's do it again. I'm going to do it again and get it right this time.
All right.
StartsRighthere.org. Go there and you can see everything, man. We got a beautiful board.
I've visited the facility that you're in the process of building it right now, which is basically going to be a sanctuary there, right in the heart of the city.
And we have to raise a lot of money to get it done, because just like I said earlier, I need to look just as beautiful as a drug dealer. So when the kids walk into our building, I want them to not just see walls. I want them to see something beautiful and see that a black man with a do-rag on his head made it happen. Mm-hmm. And because I made that, and the reason why I made it happen, because I built relationships, even if I disagree with some. Building relationships is very important.
We got about 2 minutes here before we have to let you go. If there's somebody listening right now anywhere in the country and they're inspired and they want to know, hey, how can we do this? How can we get past the politics and build some of these bridges here? Can you take about the next 90 seconds or so and just give them some encouragement or practical steps or experience from what you've learned?
You want to tell me?
Yeah. Yeah. If you've got what encouragement or advice you could give in like the next 90 seconds.
It's not about what you've been through, but it's how you get through. We had the conversation about our past.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about what you've been through, but it's how you get through. We all go through something. Let's get through. And when it comes down to building relationships, we're not going to always agree with everyone. That's impossible. And if you agree with something that everybody says, you might be that puppet. You know what I mean? But my thing is that it's okay to disagree. So if we're going to talk about equality and talk about having the right to speak, then I don't agree with you on certain things, but you have that right to say it. So I'm not going to condemn you for it. I'm going to respect you for being brave enough to say how you felt. So if we fighting for that, let's make sure we fight for it 100% and make sure, even if we don't agree with you, that you can still say what you got to say and not crucify you for it.
Let me give you some encouragement about the minute we have left. Hold out making this about politics on any level for as long as you can, preferably forever.
Mm-hmm.
That is, the situation will become increasingly more toxic. It's going to become increasingly more divisive and dumb. Like if it was like toxic and divisive, but like meaningful, we could find some way to put it aside and still do some of the things you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But it's just dumb and petty, with social media and everything else. And I think the fact that you've done that is why you have made such a big dent in a relatively short amount of time, brother. And I want to see you be successful. So thank you for coming down here today.
Man, thank you for having me.
And we'll